Mr. Booze, Mr. Booze, Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. That sure spells booze. You'll end up wearing tattered shoes if you mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with B-double-O-Z. If you've been so simply occupied, you'll feel better once you testify. 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 I want to testify. I want to testify. Well then cleanse yourself, my child. Cleanse yourself. I used to be a member of a Fortune 500 company. One of the richest people in the world. And then I messed with this guy named Ezoop. He knocked me out of my job. He knocked me out of my relationship with my beautiful wife. Karen, I just want the kids! Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Yes, what's his name? We know his name is Mr. Booze. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. Don't ever choose. Any game you play with him, you lose. So don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. If your head feels like it's 2 miles wide, you'll feel better once you testify. Testify. I want to testify. Well, testify there. I used to live a nice and happy life, nothing simple, nothing complex, until Mr. Booze sent me into a parallel universe where Weird Al isn't a thing. How will I live now? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Now what's his name? His name is Mr. Booze. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. Don't ever choose. You'll end up wearing tattered shoes if you mess with Mr. Booze. Now, alcohol makes a big man small and leads a life of crime. Drinking rum makes you skin and bone and you cash in before your time. Bootleg Jane puts you in a spin and you don't even know your name. Your basket case right on your face and there's only one guy to blame. Mr. Booze. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. Don't ever choose. Mr. Booze, Mr. Booze, Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. That sure spells booze. You'll end up wearing tattered shoes if you mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with B-double-O-Z. If you've been so simply occupied, you'll feel better once you testify. 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 I want to testify. Well then cleanse yourself, my child. Cleanse yourself. I used to be a member of a Fortune 500 company. One of the richest people in the world. And then I messed with this guy named Ezoop. He knocked me out of my job. He knocked me out of my relationship with my beautiful wife. Karen, I just want the kids! Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Yes, what's his name? We know his name is Mr. Booze. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. Don't ever choose. Any game you play with him, you lose. So don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. Don't mess with Mr. Booze. If your head feels like it's 2 miles wide, you'll feel better once you testify. Testify. I want to testify. Well, testify there. I used to live a nice and happy life, nothing simple, nothing complex, until Mr. Booze sent me into a parallel universe where Weird Al isn't a thing. How will I live now? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Now what's his name? His name is Mr. Booze. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. Don't ever choose. You'll end up wearing tattered shoes if you mess with Mr. Booze. Now, alcohol makes a big man small and leads a life of crime. Drinking rum makes you skin and bone and you cash in before your time. Bootleg Jane puts you in a spin and you don't even know your name. Your basket case right on your face and there's only one guy to blame. Mr. Booze. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double-O-Z. Don't ever choose. Mr.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday Casual Chat stream. I'll be your host today, Ezoop, filling in for Y'all Falstaff while he tries to figure out how to get commies to work to power his computer. Today, we'll be talking about a couple news articles, and as always, the mic is open to anyone in the Might of Volkov Discord server. Let's see. Today, let's start off with interesting news story coming out of the Metro. Horse plays dead every time someone tries to ride him. Jing Yang has got the death trick down so well that he even loses his tongue and puts his hooves in weird positions to make it look like he can go on longer. His owner says it happens whenever people get onto the saddle. The man at the ranch who was trying to teach Jing Yang how to take people for rides around the Korean countryside said that it was cute but naughty. He only stays on the ground for a few seconds, but the moment anyone starts approaching to get on him, he again drops back to the floor. One person who viewed the video said, "He's not lazy, he's smart. Why carry such a heavy load when you can get away with it?" Fascinatingly lazy horse. Sounds exactly like my sibling. So, how's everyone in the chat doing today? Let's see. We have my friend Hammy, who's joined us today, and it looks like that's it for right now. Well, as most of you might have figured out by now, Jarl Falstaff is going to be temporarily indisposed. PG&E deciding that they have to turn off their power to keep California from burning. Unfortunately, it might be a little bit too late for that. So I will be filling in for today, as well as tonight, on the Mighty Metal Quest. Not exactly my number one thing, so suck, please forgive me. And since Chad is still just hamster, I'll just go on to another news article. What else do we have? Here's one to get your blood boiling. Facebook axed pro-vaccine ads, letting anti-vaxxer conspiracies slip through. Facebook promised to institute a stricter policy on anti-vaccination information and ads in February. The policy had expanded site-wide on March. That crackdown, however, appears to be penalizing some legitimate healthcare providers while letting some anti-vaccine conspiracies slide, even as the United States faces its largest outbreak of diseases preventable by vaccines in decades. This month, the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, the state's official health department, bought 14 ads to promote a statewide program providing free pediatric vaccinations. Facebook removed all of them. During the same period, Children's Health Defense, an anti-vaccine nonprofit founded and chaired by the nation's most prominent vaccine conspiracy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., successfully placed more than 10 ads stoking unfounded fear about vaccines and other medical theories. Some of the ads skirted around their intent, and some did not. One promised to reveal the truth about the MMR vaccine's poison pill, a commonplace vaccine against mumps, measles, and rubella. It reached between 10,000 and 50,000 people. Facebook took in between $100 and $500 for the ad. Another page promoted a link to a website called vaccineholocaust.org, without issue in June. The group, Michigan for Vaccine Choice, which advocates for exemptions from mandatory vaccines, is still running an ad that began mid-July. All of the ads draw ideas from a debunked web of conspiracy theories, arguing that vaccines pose hidden dangers on the risk of vaccine injury. Means children should be denied potential life-saving immunizations. The Minnesota Hospital Association, which lobbies the Minnesota legislature on behalf of the state hospitals, buys Facebook ads to fight vaccine disinformation and promote conversations with healthcare providers about vaccines. Over the last 2 months, Facebook has removed dozens of their ads. Facebook flags the group's advertisements referring to vaccines far more often than any of its other ad campaigns, which cover medical issues like mental illness, addiction, and vaping-related illness. It's our understanding that auto-blocking software flagged these ads, since the text resembles when ads appear to be spreading vaccine disinformation, said Emily Lothar, a spokesman for Minnesota Hospital Association, who expressed frustration at the phenomenon. And of course, we have AI misflagging information, because AI should not be relied on to monitor everything we see online. Lothar said with the association's advertising agency re-uploaded the vaccine campaign ads and requested secondary reviews, prompting a human Facebook moderator to determine if a campaign abides by the social network's rules. Facebook accepted the ads after the second review, but only after human oversight overruled the algorithmic mistake, according to Lothar. A Facebook spokesperson described the ads as incorrectly rejected, noting that the platform overturned the initial determination. Lothar described Facebook's approach to ad moderation as fickle and inconsistent. It's a moving mark that's going to add. It's a moving mark. It's a moving mark. What's going to add to make it up what's going to get flagged. The systems have in place are constantly changing. We often expect we'll have to re-upload ads, she said. Archived ads in Facebook's ad library reveal an unpredictable approach to moderation. The social network blocked one Minnesota hospital that read, "Myth, vaccines will infect me with the disease I am trying to prevent," but allowed another with similar text, "Myth, vaccines cause autism." Both led to the same web page, which advised visitors to talk to their doctors about vaccinations. Now that's a very good point, Hamster. Facebook does not in fact have human staff, they're all robots. And lizard people. Pennsylvania Medical Society bought an ad in June to spread a campaign debunking common anti-vaccination talking points. It featured a link with the text, "Vaccines work." Facebook took it down. The spokesperson said that the removal was a mistake and that was overturned after an inquiry from the Daily Beast. The society did not respond to a request for comment. Online anti-vaccination misinformation is an outgrowth of a real-world public health threat. The World Health Organization identified vaccine hesitancy as one of the most significant dangers to global health in 2019. Due to swelling anti-vaccination sentiment, the U.S. may lose its designation as a nation that has eliminated measles. Though the communities that oppose vaccines tend to be tight-knit and insular, Facebook ads allow them to extend their reach to target the people most susceptible to their messages. The Daily Beast report published in February found ads targeting young women with anti-vaccine conspiracies that were viewed millions of times. Despite the company's efforts, Facebook features like crowdfunding and private groups continue to fuel the fire of anti-vaccine sentiment both on and offline. Anti-vaxxers are pushing back against Facebook through grassroots and campaigns and at the highest levels of power. Representative Bill Posey, Republican, Florida, lambasted CEO Mark Zuckerberg in a congressional hearing Wednesday for removing anti-vaccine content. Zuckerberg cited scientific consensus on the topic, but Posey claimed that the social network was silencing views unpalatable to its chief executive. "If you look at the statistics, I think you're making a bad mistake," Posey warned. That. So yeah, Facebook is of course relying on computers to do far too much. Just like YouTube. Let's see. Nothing new from the chat. So we'll roll right on into the next story. Let's see. What do we have? Panera Bread employee fired after posting video exposing how mac and cheese is prepared. A woman who posted a viral video exposing how Panera Bread prepares its mac and cheese says she's now been fired from the company. The clip, which was originally posted on the video sharing app TikTok, and has been viewed more than 10 million times on Twitter, shows an employee whipping up an order of the restaurant's famous dish. In it, the employee can be seen dropping a plastic packet of frozen mac and cheese into hot water, then cutting the bag open and pouring the food into a bowl. The original video, captured captioned "Exposing Panera," gained both outrage and skepticism from social media users. "I'm cool with it being prepared this way, but then charging almost $7 for a small bowl? Okay then," one Twitter user commented. "Y'all thought a chef was back there making pasta from scratch and hand grating cheese?" another user said. But regardless of the mixed reactions, video has now allegedly had some real-world consequences. The woman who posted the original video tweeted on Friday that she'd been fired for posting the clip. "LOL, I lost my job for this," the employee posted from her Twitter handle at Brie Ramirez. Panera Bread has not confirmed whether or not an employee was actually fired over the video, but the company did confirm the clip's accuracy. A spokesperson for the chain said in a statement to the Washington Post that the mac and cheese is made off-site with our proprietary recipe developed by our chefs. "It is shipped to our bakery cafe. This allows us to avoid using preservatives which do not meet our clean standards." For her part, the woman behind the video said she wouldn't be commenting any further on the situation. "Can't say anything else. They asked me not to, and I gotta respect it." Still, social media users are quick to share the thoughts on the scandal, adding jokes and thoughts on how the dish is prepared. And let's go to the video.
Wait till you see the. No, 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 no.
Alrighty then. Interesting, but not very surprising. And yes, Skynet does grow stronger every day. In fact, just the other day I saw where the Russians have developed an AK-47 that's a drone and flies around by itself. So what do you think, Hammy? Is it alright if Panera Bread's using frozen mac and cheese? I mean, personally, I don't particularly mind it too much myself. Most restaurants actually do use frozen. Easier that way and allows them to reduce overhead. Well, everyone else does in fact do that. And as long as it tastes good, what does it matter? I mean, that's the end of the discussion there. If you're looking for just to say that you ate something high quality, then just trend setting, I guess. Here's an interesting one. Florida man arrested after allegedly forcing alligator to drink beer. Two Florida men were arrested after allegedly catching an alligator and encouraging it to bite one of the men's arms while forcing it to drink beer, according to a report from TC Palm. Authorities say Timothy Kepke, 27, and Noah Osborne, 22, were both arrested Thursday after enacting the scheme in Palm City, Florida. The men were charged with 1 count each of unlawful taking an alligator, felony. Only in Florida would be taking an alligator considered unlawful felony. According to the report, Kepke says Osborne had caught the alligator at 10 p.m. on August 26th in Palm City. He apparently took the animal from the side of the road with his bare hands. Already shaping up to be a terrible, terrible idea. The same month, a complaint was received by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission about the incident, which was said to be recorded on video. It's alleged that the video showed Kepke holding the alligator captive while attempting the animal to bite his right forearm while pouring beer into the animal's mouth. The reptile was said to display aggressive behavior when the beer was poured into its mouth. Oh, alligators are angry drunks. Good to know. It's not clear what Kepke and Osborne were hoping to achieve by doing it. When police visited Kepke on September 17th, he confirmed that he appeared in the video. Kepke told police that he was not drunk, but did have a couple of beers during the incident. Social drinking. After apparently sharing beer with the alligator, the pair released the animal back into the wild. On September 21st, authorities visited a woman whom Kepke had said was also present during the incident. She seemingly confirmed that the incident happened. And that seems to be it. No info on further charges or anything. Here we go. On Thursday, police arrested Kepke and Osborne, holding them on $5,000 and $2,500 bonds, respectively. They were booked into Martin County Jail and released later the same day. Florida is home to around 1.3 million alligators, and the relationship with humans is complicated. Although reports of alligators attacking humans in the state appear to be on the rise in recent years, the animals largely do not interact with people, and attacks remain rare. Yes, most of these streams would be very boring without Florida Man to keep company. That mythical hero of stupid deeds and daring dumbness. Humans are significantly more likely to harm alligators than be harmed by them. Last week, the decapitated body of an alligator was found by the side of a Florida road. The animal's head was apparently cut off with a chainsaw. The state does not provide hunting licenses to kill thousands of so-called nuisance gators each year. But under normal circumstances, the reptiles are strictly off limit. Florida law states that a person may not intentionally kill, injure, possess, or capture, or attempt to kill, injure, possess, or capture an alligator or other crocodilian, or the eggs of an alligator or other crocodilian. Well, I suppose that the gators are just about the only proper tourist attraction you have down there besides Florida Man. Let's be fair. Florida Man might get high and try to kill you. All in all, I would say trying to sticking your arm down a gator's gullet, force feed it beer, is definitely a high bar of stupidity. Even if you're drunk, that comes off as a terrible, terrible idea. And unfortunately, no video to accompany that. Moving on, you have Japan Trade Minister resigns after being accused of gifting crabs and melons to voters. Those kinky Japs. Japan's Trade Minister, Isshu Sugawara, resigned on Friday, less than 2 months after he was appointed, following accusations of violating the country's election law. He was under pressure to resign after reports accused him of gifting his Tokyo voters expensive food items, such as melons, oranges, crab, and royal jelly, between 2006 and 2007, as well as offering a monetary gift during a recent wake. Japan's election law bans politicians from sending gifts or donations to voters in their home constituency, according to the BBC. During the wake, he reportedly offered 20,000 yen, about $184 USD, to the family of one of his supporters, a Japanese custom known as incense money, monetary condolence gift for families grieving due to a loss, according to Shukan Bunshan, a weekly Japanese magazine. The magazine published a photo allegedly showing Sugawara bowing and handling an envelope containing the money at a funeral on October 16th. The magazine also printed a list of gifts sent by his office, including cod roe and oranges, whilst listing thank you letters received from his voters. Sugawara, 57, told the media on Friday he decided to step down from his office. He was still looking into whether or not the election law. I don't want my problems to slow down parliamentary deliberations. If his actions are found true, the monetary gift would be in violation of the Public Offices Election Act and carry a 500,000 yen, or 4,605 USD fine, according to the Japan Times. Hiroshi Kajiyama, a former revitalization minister, was assigned to his position on Friday afternoon. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe apologized for appointing Sugawara following his actions. Oh, alright then. I feel like the incense money should be excluded from that. That's a custom, not exactly a bribe, though the roe, crabs, oranges, and melons, that would definitely be a problem. What does the chat think? Wait a moment while things catch up. I mean, $184 really isn't that much of a bribe. That is rather a random selection of, but I don't think you can grow oranges, so might increase their value as a commodity item. Probably costs like $20 an orange or something. Is their import? That's just a guess anyway. Oh, I believe we just got a donation. Oh, new subscriber. Amy has subscribed. Thank you, Amy. Usual days, this will Gerald Falstaff here talking about the news and just casually chatting. But again, PG&E can't run the power properly in California, so I'm filling in today. At least until he gets a commie to run on a wheel like a hamster. Let's see. What else do we... Ah, here's a classic indicator of bureaucratic oversight. British officials create a 41-mile detour for 65-foot-long road closure. Bravo. Talk about taking the long way home. Motorists in southwest England will need to pay special attention when driving through Dorset County next week, where officials are putting a 41-mile detour around a 65-foot stretch of construction work. The diversion will take drivers along several roads and into another county before heading back into Dorset County. Local residents have blasted the council's decision. Rightfully so. It's just crazy, and there doesn't seem to be any logic to it. Heather Chapman, who runs a camping business near the closure. The small section of road A352 in Godmanstone, Dorset, will be closed Monday through Friday while a construction crew work on a new sewage system. Dorset County Council approved the massive diversion, calling it necessary as it has to be suitable for the type of traffic that would normally use the closed section. The detour is estimated to take an hour to complete. The closed portion of road would take just over 2 seconds to travel at 30 miles per hour speed limit. Council acknowledged that most residents will ignore the lengthy detour and use smaller roads to get around construction work. Anyone caught using the closed stretch of road will be fined $1,291. That just seems ridiculous. I mean, if there are shorter roads, why didn't they just direct people along those? No, it's just about like road work here in Alabama. You have to go 5 miles out of your way just to get to where you're going because somebody washed out a little footbridge. Of course, England hasn't exactly been well known for governmental decisions here. With Brexit pending here in a matter of days, hopefully. That is true. We did in fact revolt against England for considerably less than that. A 2-cent tax on tea. Which is ironic since I now pay 7 cents tax on everything I buy. Let's fish up a few more news articles. This sounds interesting. U.S. military's X-37B spaceplane lands in Florida. U.S. Air Force's reusable Boeing-built X-37B spaceplane returned to Earth early Sunday with a touchdown at NASA's shuttle landing facility runway at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, a few miles away from where it launched 780 days ago atop a SpacerX Falcon 9 rocket. The unpiloted winged spaceplane, resembling a miniature space shuttle, touched down at the Florida spaceport at 3:51 a.m. Eastern, which is about 7:51 Greenwich Mean Time, Sunday. The Air Force said in a press release. The X-37B continues to demonstrate the importance of a reusable spaceplane, said Barbara Barrett, Secretary of the Air Force, in a statement. Each successive mission advances our nation's space capabilities. While the X-37B itself is not classified, details of its activities and orbits have remained largely secret. Spaceplane's planned landing Sunday was also not disclosed in advance to the Air Force. The X-37B landing Sunday completed the fifth and longest flight in the program's history. The safe return of this spacecraft, after breaking its own endurance record, is the result of the innovative partnership between government and industries, General David Goldfein, the Air Force Chief of Staff, in a statement. The X-37B executed a ground-commanded deorbit burn early Sunday to target landing at the Kennedy Space Center, then performed a series of banking maneuvers during re-entry to dissipate speed before lining up at the shuttle-era runway near Cape Canaveral. With a successful landing today, the X-37B completed its longest flight to date and successfully completed all mission objectives, Randy Walton, director of the Rapid Capabilities Office, already told us, and you're just filling space. The mission successfully hosted Air Force Research Laboratory experiments, among others, as well as providing a ride for small satellites. The reusable X-37B spaceplane, developed by Boeing Phantom Works, is designed to launch on top of a conventional rocket. Once in orbit, the craft opens its payload bay doors and extends a power-generating solar array, allowing it to remain in space for years. NASA's space shuttle was limited in mission duration to less than 3 weeks. NASA's shuttle orbiter carried astronauts on every flight and used fuel cells consuming liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen to produce electricity, and hydraulic actuators for its flight control, landing gear brakes, and other components. The X-37B, about 1/4 the length of NASA's shuttle orbiters, uses electromechanical actuators, removing concerns about the limited useful hydraulic control system. The Air Force says the X-37B performs risk reduction, experimentation, and concept of operations development for reusable space technologies. The fifth X-37B mission, which ended Sunday, launched September 7th, 2017, from Launch Pad 39A at Kennedy aboard a space rocket. Let's see. X-37B, also known as the Orbital Test Vehicle, has a wingspan of nearly 15 feet, 4.5 meters, and a length of more than 29 feet, 9 meters. The ship's wings fit snugly inside the 17-foot diameter, 5-meter, payload shrouds on the Falcon 9 and Alice. Today marks an incredible, exciting day for the 45th Space Wing, said Brigadier General Douglas Scheiss, commander of the 45th Space Wing, which provides range safety support for launches and landings at Cape. Our team has been preparing for this event, and I am extremely proud to see their hard work and dedication to land today's safe and successful landing of the B. Let's see. Anything else interesting? Lights. Here we go. Any small satellites that were deployed from the X-37B have not appeared in the U.S. military's catalog of human-made space objects, and were not registered in accordance with the United Nations Registration Convention, according to experts who track the space. Unless they mean the satellites were attached and not deployed, this is a violation of the UN Convention, wrote Jonathan McDaniel,